Hello, this is Les with Judson Vacuum. Me and one of many of our animals. We got 4 cats and 9 dogs, and anyway, we got a lot. We love animals here at Judson. But anyway, I was going to make a video on some questions people's asking me about propane, misconceptions with propane, false rumors with propane, the actual safety of propane, and a little brief description of what's behind me here. This is the world's first truck mount museum, but I think we're going to turn it into an actual carpet cleaning museum because we're going to expand the whole operation. The building that we're in now is about 15,000 feet, and our production of the chemicals is growing so much that we need more room in the building. So we're going to actually move to another building to continue the manufacturing of the chemicals, and we're just going to let this building stay the history museum, so we'll expand it. And we have a nice outside area to put other truck mounts. But basically what we're going to do here is, this is the very first truck mount. You probably heard it my dad made in 1966. Let me let the cat down. Anyway, in 1966 to clean football fields. The only thing we have left is this big number 8 blower, which is a pretty amazing thing to see. But so his patent was issued in '75, but we got an immaculate big red sitting right here that runs, purrs like a kitten. It's all original. This is the world's second patented truck mount right here. It was issued in 1978, and it is the first heat exchanger. Now we're talking first patented truck mount here to clean football fields, and he started building this in '66. Now we just celebrated the 50th anniversary of him starting this in 1966 when we gave away the truck mount at ICE, the 50th anniversary. We gave another truck mount the year before, so that was 2 truck mounts. But last year was the 50th anniversary of 1966 when he started building the AstroTurf machine. He had made prototypes before '66. He had, even electric, taking a shop vacuum and hooking a pump on it and making an extraction system, way before '66. So there's a lot of prototyping before we actually went to making this. What you're seeing behind here, what we're going to do, instead of just strictly truck mount museum, we're going to do carpet history museum. So every process will be honored here. Now on this area here, this platform, you'll see that there's the first automatic portable, the first drag one, and the first regular one. Now that's very unique with my dad because he's got the patent for the first one. And those are 2 of the original 2 wands ever that went with the patent, which is really unique. I didn't have those wands, and my dad's brother had some stuff up in his attic in the back room, and that's what it was. He said he had a bunch of stuff. He had that portable, and anyway, I actually got the ones. But what we're going to do, that's going to be called the Inventor Showcase. So if you're a contributor to the museum, we'll feature your item, your patent, just like in the very first contributor is Eric, and look right here what I got. Here's the very first zipper. Eric sent this in, and we're going to actually put it up there with Eric's picture and his patent as a contributor to the museum. So we're really thankful we got this here. Now what the future of the museum is, what I want to do, we do have the first patent, we do have the second. What I want to do now, I want every truck mount manufacturer's first machine. In other words, like a Hydromaster AquaCat, the ProChem A100 or 100A, Now these machines do not have to operate. They're static display. If you're a contributor, let's say you have a AquaCat that's not operational and you want to contribute it to the museum, we will actually put a sign on top of the machine, just kind of like this little electric truck mount here. It's one of the first electric truck mount we know of that we made. Anyway, we'll put a sign on it, and tell them about your contributing of the system or the machine and who you are, and whatever. If you're a distributor, we'll put that down, information, and honor you contributing to the museum. But anyway, the main video is about the propane over here. So I want to go over some stuff about propane. You always hear about it being dangerous. Well, Judson has never had a catastrophic fire or a failure. Nothing has knocked the system out related to propane. We've never had a fire related to propane. Now, we've had Judson Truckmounts catch on fire, but it was due to fuel systems getting on the exhaust. That's the same thing when you see a heat exchanger burning. Same thing, fuel got on the exhaust. So we've had a couple, but I've seen more heat exchangers burn, but we've never had a Judson. And I have to actually I got a guarantee. I got a reward. If you ever can find somebody that had a fire related to propane with a Judson, I give them a reward, because everybody's using scare tactics against propane. But it's very safe. Now what we've done here, this is pretty cool. What you're seeing right here is a 120-gallon tank. Now, I've seen these for years sitting out people's houses behind the shrubbery if your home's being heated with propane. I had this tank specially made with liquid delivery. Now, I've seen people take these tanks and put sleeves over them, make them look like shrubs, and you can't even tell it's a tank. They'll paint them, camouflage them. I mean, it's amazing. If you go look on the web and you see people camouflage propane tanks, there's all kind of neat stuff. But there's a sleeve that you can pull down over this. It looks just like shrubbery. So what you're going to do now, before, sometimes having propane was inconvenience. If you might have to drive 10 miles or so to get some propane. And I can understand that, yeah, it's a hassle. So now we got it more convenient than if you had a machine running gasoline. By this being at your location, this allows you to fill the propane tank on the machine, which this is one of the tanks here that goes on the vehicle. These are DOT vehicle tanks. Here's another one here. This is a little larger capacity, okay? And this allows us to take this hose right here and fill that tank, just like this. You're just going to take this hose, you're going to pull up, connect it right there, open the ball valve. Now you say, well, I don't see the pressure pump. You don't need a pressure pump. You don't need a pressure pump to fill. This tank has pressure around 200 psi. And they call it gravity fill, but there's no gravity. You don't have to lift this tank up in the air, okay? This tank has more pressure than the empty tank, because you open this bleeder valve and it lowers the pressure, and it automatically transfers. Now the difference is, when you see those fill stations that has the transfer pump, it'll fill that tank in 5 minutes. So basically it's just going to take a little longer. It may take 10 minutes or 11 minutes to do it. So that's the only difference, a little longer. And then then you fill your own tanks. Now, this is the 120-gallon tank, and if you call your local propane company, they'll let you have this tank for nothing. A lot of times they'll provide you the tank and the transfer hose. Joey Johnston, he just got his system set up with a propane company. Set him up. He's just buying fuel at I think $2 a gallon. So you just have to ask around. But if you have to buy it, I do have these for sale with the transfer hose. Now, the company comes out and tops this tank off once a month. You don't have to call them. It's hassle-free. They just bill you for what they add to the tank every month. Okay? So it's very convenient, trouble-free, hassle-free, fill your own tank. Now, if you had a propane truck mount with a propane engine, so we offer factory 25 horsepower propane color engines now, and our heaters here, the little giant heater right here, it heats with propane. Okay, that's the number 4 little giant heater. So if you're running a propane engine and you're running a propane heater, the ultimate would be a propane van. So now look, Chevrolet, Isuzu, and Ford are now offering factory propane vans. So now you got the ultimate. You got a propane van running, the heater's running propane, the engine of the truck mount's running propane, and the vehicle's running propane. And you can fill all that at your location, right there. So that's one way, and that's what this tank is. A lot of people's confused about what this tank is. It's to make it very convenient so you can fill your own tanks, okay? It's real nice, and when you're buying propane like that, it's a lot cheaper because there's no road tax on it. and just keep the tank full. Now what we do here at Judson, when we install a truck mount, we use forklift tanks. Now those are 33-pound tanks, and there's a company called Metro Lift that just swaps out empties for full. And I mean, yeah, full for, yeah. And what you do, there's no minimum, no maximum. I have 10 tanks, and in 1 month I might use 6, and they'll just swap out 6, or the next month it might be 8 or 4 or whatever it is. They just come out once a month or whenever we call them and swap empty ones for full. Now we still use that same transfer hose, go from here to the vehicle tank, okay? And you can fill straight off that bottle right there, and you don't have to have that. This is something you can do now. All towns have forklift swap out programs, like a big warehouse that has multiple forklifts running. That's what they do. They just swap them out. They don't fill the tanks there at the operation. Now this company is called Metro Lift, but you could look in your phone book for a company that does that. It's forklift tank swap out. It's still cheaper than going to most fill stations, you know. So that's how we do it, and you can do it. There's some carpet cleaners that has these, you know, at their facility. There's a rack that these go in. It locks, so it stays outside. So that's another alternative way of refueling your vehicle. Now I'm going to go right here and talk about these tanks here. These are called vapor tanks. Now we modify these tanks here at Judson, where we mount this regulator onto this tank, but we have to cut this and add a bracket, and we do it where it's real nice. It's part of the tank, and that's one of the modifications we do here at Judson. So now you just run you run a hose from right here straight to the heater. Same thing there. We mount the regulator onto the tank. This is a 12-gallon tank. This is a 10-gallon tank. Chevrolets can have the 12s. Fords must run 10s. It's just 2 gallons difference. It's not a major deal. The heater here, under commercial carpet cleaning conditions, now we're talking the most, which would be commercial. Now when I teach carpet cleaning on commercial carpet cleaning, I teach trigger on forward, keep it on coming back, and at the end of the backstroke, release the trigger for a split second and go forward and back and release the trigger. So when I'm doing high production commercial carpet cleaning, you got to move. You don't have time, all this dry vacuuming stuff. So if you'll wand forward and back at the same time and just break the valve at the end of the backstroke so it does not leave a watermark, that's how I teach high production commercial carpet cleaning. Under those conditions, this system will maintain 240 on a 10-flow high flow wand for endless amount of hours. Unlike a heat exchanger, you know, if you're cleaning super high production like what I just said, with a high flow wand, it's going to drop after a period of time. Once the preheated water in a truck mount starts cooling off, it'll eventually drop. You'll have to release the trigger and let it catch up, but not here. You're hammering down to the first of the job to the end of the job. Now I don't care if the job's 10 hours. That temperature is not dropping with this heater. Now, this heater burns about a half gallon of propane per hour. Okay, so that means that this 12-gallon tank will give you 24 hours of trigger time. The 10-gallon tank will give you 20 hours. So this one gives you 24, that one gives you 20. Now what I'm talking about is trigger time. I'm talking about when that trigger is on, because with this heater, with this thermostat moved to the top, which we did this, we helped Alan develop this heater through the years. Originally it was at the bottom. In 1968 we got one of these heaters and started using it on a carpet cleaner, and the thermostats used to be here, and we helped move it to the top. You release the trigger, heat rises, shuts the thermostat off. There's no more spiking, you know, it makes it where it doesn't get a little hotter when you release the trigger. Anyway, what I was going to tell you is every time you release the trigger, this shuts the flame off. It's not using any propane then. So like in residential cleaning or in apartments where you're on and off the trigger, it uses less fuel. Now a Judson truck mount, if you're running a gas engine and a heater, then you got 24 hours at least on the commercial carpet cleaning, but longer if you're doing residential, and 20 hours here, okay? And longer if you're doing residential. Okay, now that's running the heater. Now, if we are running an engine, a propane engine and a heater, now we're going to be consuming 9/10 of a gallon. The engine consumes 9/10 of a gallon an hour, and the heater burns 1/2 gallon an hour. Now this is commercial carpet cleaning now. I'm not talking about residential. I'm giving you the most consumption. At that point, you're burning 1.4 gallons an hour, okay? Now, so that would, shorten the lot. You wouldn't get the 24 hours here or the 20 there. It would probably cut that down to about 18 hours and maybe 7.5, 8 on this tank here. So it does shorten the refuel when you're running both components. So that's why I want to talk about this. Now, if you can get it refilled, you might be getting it refilled once or twice a week, because you got to remember that's trigger time I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the whole job. Just however long you got the trigger on during the job, which is on a 2-hour job, you don't have that trigger on 2 hours. You're probably only actually cleaning maybe an hour or a little less, so, on a 2-hour job. But anyway, I want to tell you about this tank. Now this is a 75-gallon tank, and this will go on a box truck. So with a box truck, we got plenty of room. Now what this tank is, this valve here is vapor. So this hose, now it's real simple. We're going to ship this machine, and you're going to install this yourself, and I'm going to tell you how simple it is to install this truck mount. It's amazing. You mount this propane tank underneath the vehicle. Then you run this hose to the heater. It's ready to go. You run this hose to the engine, and guess what? You just installed the truck mount. So that's how simple this install is. You got to put the heater in there and put the hoses to the heater and bolt everything down. But as far as the rest of it, we don't tap into the gas tank of the vehicle. We don't have to have an electric fuel pump, because this supplies its own pressure. And so that's what this is called, a dual fuel tank here. It's got liquid, it's got a vapor and a liquid, okay? And that goes to the engine, and this goes to the heater. So what else do I need to say? I pretty much covered it all. The number 4 little giant heater, you can get 1,500 PSI coils. You can get 2,200 PSI coils now. The heater that I sell is the 1,500 most of the time, and I like to set it at a limit of 1,300, because you're really not supposed to use a tile floor spinner over 1,200 because it etches the grout anyway. So this provides you plenty of pressure, if you just want to do tile, floor, and carpet cleaning. So anyway, that's wanted to go over that and just make this quick video about propane. Now propane, just some quick things I want to talk about propane. I don't want to make this too long. Propane can be stored indefinitely. It does not have a shelf life like gasoline or diesel fuel has in a tank. So if you had a tank, it just is forever. It does not ever go bad, okay? It also has 1/5 the carbon monoxide of a gas operation, okay? Now we all know a couple years ago we had two accidents where people died with the exhaust of the truck mount going in the house accidentally. I think one guy, they had it parked in the garage, and then the other guy, I think it was just blowing in there. Now both these people died. It was one man and his wife, and then another guy by himself. Two separate incidents. Now what I say, if this produces 1/5 of the carbon monoxide as a gas engine, so let's say that job, he started up the machine. Well, he didn't, get to lethal limits immediately. It probably ran about an hour before the levels increased enough to do some damage. So what I'm saying is, if you were running propane and it's 1/5 of the amount of carbon monoxide, that means that 1 hour to get to lethal limits, it would have been 5 hours. So more than likely, he would have finished the job and loaded his hoses up and left before it even was harmful to him whatsoever. So that's another good thing about propane, is the safety. You can claim being a green emissions company, with your company to advertise. A lot of people, that means a lot to some people, not to everybody, but yeah, you can claim green emissions. if you finally add up the performance of what we're selling and the operating costs and the actual maximum vacuum, if you have any more vacuum than we produce on a wand, it's not going to get the carpets in your dryer. What I like is what I was talking about, high flow. On long hose runs, to get a carpet dryer is to get more heat on the carpet. Well, the only way to get more heat on a carpet on high, long hose runs is high flow. That's why I like high flow. It's because the heat travels from the truck mount to the wand, 300-400 feet, a lot faster than a standard wand. So normally you might lose 50-60 degrees, where on a high flow, you're only going to lose about 15 degrees. The hotter the water hitting the carpet, the faster you can clean. It's better, but the drying time is better because hotter water evaporates faster than cooler water. So that's how we get better drying times, is we get more heat on the carpet with long hose pulls. And that's what this heater is all about. And the operating cost is amazing to get that much performance on that little bit of a half gallon of propane per hour. And but one thing about propane, I understand the need of a heat exchanger and the convenience, but a heat exchanger is a very complex piece of equipment with safeties and switches and stuff, and most people can't work on them. With a propane, if you let this heater do the heating, now all you need is a pump, motor, and blower, which is a lot of times we do re-engineering where people's having problems with the units. We'll strip them down and simplify them, and we will put a heater with it. And you don't have to preheat the machine in the morning or at the job. You just immediately got instant heat. So then we eliminate everything off the truck mount, and there's no safety switches and all that's gone, and so it increases the reliability. So letting this do the heating, it allows you to have a truck mount that's super simple. Pumping cold water, regulator operates cold. It's not a complex piece of equipment. It's got good vacuum and good pressure. And it's got good heat, and that's what you got to have to clean carpet. And it just allows you to have a very reliable truck mount. That's the main thing I like about the propane design, is, you know, this allows you to make a simple truck mount. And simple truck mounts last longer. They're easier to repair, to figure out what's wrong when they do break down. And Judson's notorious. Our big claim to fame is when you break down with a Judson truck mount, it's usually not a big deal. It's something that we can diagnose over the phone most of the time, or a lot higher percentage than anybody else's unit. And most of the time I can send you in to get belts at auto parts, or thermal couples, or vacuum relief valves from Lowe's and Home Depot. A lot of local parts, and we go to extremes to make sure you can use local parts. And so most of the time when you break down with a Judson truck mount, because of the simplicity by using propane, and the operating cost being as low as it is, because a lot of times you can buy propane a lot cheaper than fuel, buying it this bulk way, that just gives a big advantage with the Judson truck mount. Our truck mounts are all stainless steel. They have lifetime warranties on the recovery tank, and stainless. We use thick, heavy gauge stainless, so it's never going to go anywhere. It's going to always be here. So you just replace engines and pumps as you wear them out, but you just keep them going. But I just wanted to explain what these tanks are about, and having the on-site fill station at your facility. That is a residential tank. It's made to go in residential neighborhoods. That's why you see them next to houses all the time. It's just converted to liquid delivery. Either get with me if you'd like a self on-site filling system, or call your local propane company like Joey Johnson's did, and got them to supply him a tank and a transfer hose. But we got quite a few guys doing this now, filling their own systems, and it's super nice. And a lot of people was confused about what all this was about, so I made a quick video here. I got some more videos coming up on our chemicals, what's actually happened in the industry of the chemicals since the last 5 years, because all the raw materials have skyrocketed in cost, and what companies are doing to stay in business and be competitive is, I'm going to blow your mind with what's happening in the chemical side of this industry. But that'll be my next video. But anyway, I'm sorry it took so long, and I'll see you to the next video.